Okay, another video for the first time pump shotgun owner. I've got a Remington 870 model pump shotgun, very similar to other brands and models. There's just a few minor differences, no big deal. What I'm going to do first is unload the slugs and buckshot out of this little cheap ammo carrier. This is the way this one came. It was a surplus state patrol rifle. I didn't change a thing. I think I originally paid well under $300 for the surplus gun. It was like brand new, with just a little bit of wear from being thrown around, but basically a brand new gun. Haven't, like I said, haven't changed very much at all. Now the chamber is empty, and I'll show you more about this. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all of these out. I don't want to cycle through it. I just want to do this the more professional, easy way of unloading. And what I'm going to do is empty this spring-loaded magazine tube, and I'm going to check that it's clear, that spring-loaded follower. I can see that the chamber is empty. So the gun is completely unloaded. I can count the 5 plus 4, so they're all accounted for. And I'm going to go put these in another location in the house and be right back. And then we'll use these inert dummy rounds. Keep that finger out, muzzle, always treat it as if it's loaded. So I'm going to bring this action. I'm going to release it with this little button, bring it back. And a good thing about a Remington, it's got a very smooth action. The receiver and all of this is a little bit higher quality, I think, than, for example, a Mossberg. And so I'm going to bring it back and put my finger in my pinky in the chamber. And I'm going to press on this spring-loaded plunger or follower, and then I know the gun is clear. Now, when it's time to load it, so let me explain this. When you see me on the range or training, I usually always have this strong hand on the control, the fire control of the gun, and I do all of my other stuff with the other hand, okay? That's just for defensive or tactical reasons, whatever you might say. But in this case, I just want to kind of just show you the operation the easiest way as possible. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to load the magazine tube, and every time I press a round in, I want to firmly snap it all the way in so that it goes past the clip that holds it in, all right? If I don't do that, I can actually cause a problem there. So just want to be assertive, or what's the word, real purposeful in my movement there to get that in there. Now, you'll notice the fifth one would not go in. I've got other more complicated or more tactically set up Remingtons. I just wanted to use this because it's so simple. It only holds 4 in this tube. It won't hold 5. One of my other ones holds 6 in the tube. So that's just depending on how long a tube. You can actually even extend this tube. In this case, that's actually a light, okay? So I don't have any in the chamber though. I can put my pinky in the chamber, and I can, as I pull this back, if I don't want it to grab one or allow it to come out of the tube, get on that little lifter or elevator and come up, I can actually snap it back in with my thumb past that clip. And then when I bring the action all the way back, one doesn't pop on the lifter or that little elevator and come up. So this is kind of cool. When I go back forward, I'm still on an empty chamber. Now, if I don't do that, snap that in with my thumb, it's going to work like it normally does. I'm in a safe direction, and I'm going to release the action, and I'll just, when I come back, you'll see that it's going to pick one, it's going to allow one to come unsnapped out of the magazine tube, and it's going to lay on that little lifter or gate or elevator type of thing, and then it's going to lift it up. See how it brings it in, and then when you go forward, it locks it into the chamber. This bolt goes forward, and then it's internally, the hammer is cocked. Now, the only type of safety you have here, other than your finger muzzle discipline and your brain, which is really what the safety is all about, is this little switch on the trigger guard. All it does is prevent the movement of the trigger. It doesn't make the gun drop safe. You can't lean it up against a wall or a fence post or a tree. If it falls, it could theoretically, there's some chance of it firing. So you don't want to fully rely on this safety as if it really means anything, okay? But this is safety is on, and then from the right side, safety is off. In my case, I leave the chamber empty, and I never even bother using the trigger safety. And that's just me, but that's your personal preference. You do what you want to do. Free country. All right, so I'm going to unload it. Well, first off, if I fired it, you'll notice that it's cocked. There's one in the chamber, and this action won't release. So I would have to press the button to release it and rack it. But when you fire it, it unlocks that so that you can continue by physically racking another round in the chamber. I'm going to look in this safe direction. Even though I've got a dummy round, I'm still going to treat this gun like it's loaded. I'm going to fire a shot. It's dry fire though. And then you'll notice when I do that, this is no longer locked and allows me to very firmly, and you want to be very assertive, almost violent with that racking so that you prevent a malfunction. Now let's put another one in. So I've only got, I started before, now I've only got 2 left in the tube, the magazine tube, and 1 in the chamber. Then I can fire it. That kicks out forward. And you want to do that immediately after every shot. Don't fire a shot and then lollygag around. Get another one in the chamber in case you need it. And then I fire again, and that should fly across the room. And then my last one, and I can see there's that orange plunger is there. That's the last one coming out of the magazine tube. And then when I fire it, I've got an empty gun. Both the magazine tube, the lower part and the upper part are both empty. Okay, now anytime during that, I could have grabbed some more out of a pocket or anywhere and backfilled and kept going. The other thing is that, let's say the gun's completely empty and I've got some of these on this carrier back here or a side saddle or in the pocket and or laying somewhere, and I just want to release the action, come back and take one, and I'll just drop it in there and come forward. I'm ready to go. Another thing is called a slug changeover, which is a neat little operation. I'm not going to go through every variation of a double and single slug changeover, but I am going to just show you how that works. Let's say that I had the gun loaded up with, I'll just go ahead and put 4 in there. The 5th one won't go in, but let's pretend like this is a slug, you know, a solid slug, but these are buckshot. Now, I don't want to shoot a buckshot, I want to shoot a slug, but I want to keep those in there. So I'm going to come back, snap in, and then when the action is back, I can grab this slug, throw it in there. Now I've got four buckshots plus the 1 slug. So I mean, so I sort of changed over the ammo type while I was shooting. So that's the slug changeover. So let's just go ahead and empty it. I'm going to release the action, come back so far, snap in, kick out, and then from there I'm going to press this loading gate down. And on a Remington, a Mossberg, you use the other side, but on a Remington, I'm going to press this little straight spring clip, and you could do it with the back of your thumb, you could do it with this thumb. I'm just going to pinch here, just because it's convenient to show you here. And every time I pinch that clip in, it releases and allows another round until I have an empty magazine, empty chamber, and then I'm back to ready. Now, let's say that I want to prepare this for home defense. I want to keep this chamber empty, and I'm going to load the tube up with 4. Okay, this is just how I do it. You may do it differently. That's okay. We can still be friends. Okay. And then I'm going to put, a lot of times I'll put a slug in that front one so I can see the slug coming up this way. I can still get it out of there. And then I'll put the 4 more buckshot down through here like this. Now I use number 1 flight control federal buckshot or double-aught flight control federal buckshot. It's the best ammo on the planet that I know of for defensive use. You use whatever you want. And then I'm done. Now, there's such thing as a choke that screws in, these little pieces that screw in the end of the barrel. This one doesn't have a choke, so it's no choke, or you may call it cylinder. It means there's no focus of the pattern to restrict it down to be tighter. So that's why I really like the flight control buckshot. It's very controllable, very predictable. But that is basically how to operate. You'll notice that I have, if I want to check, I've got an empty chamber. I can snap those back in and really look it over, and then when I go forward, it keeps the rounds in the magazine tube, and I have an empty chamber with 4 in the tube and reserves. And now I'm not going to lean this up against a wall or in a corner because it's not drop safe. I just don't want to build that habit. I want to keep this secured in a locker or a safe where I can go up and tap, 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 and then open it up, unlock it, grab this, and all I have to do to be ready is in a safe direction, press the action, and I'm ready to go. Now, contrary to myth, criminals aren't afraid of guns. They're not afraid of cops. They're not afraid of you. Racking that, all that really does is let them know where you're at. And then as I come on to target, I'm going to fire and come back out. When I pump the action, I'm always going to have this finger here. I don't know what else to tell you, but that is just to kind of get you started on a Remington 870. A Mossberg is going to be a little bit different. The real risk of these is not that it won't feed ammo. It's that you will cause a malfunction loading it or pumping the action. That's where the human error comes in on a pump shotgun. Otherwise, it's a 1-shot, 1-kill home defense gun. Most people can use these without a lot of training. And there you go. I hope this was helpful.